Alright, today I want to talk about an incredibly useful app that I use all the time for all kinds of different media to get my custom designs into 3D prints, laser cuts, and more. I'm about to head off on another trip, and I've been making these little tokens today, little wearable star guys with something relevant to one of the events that I'm going to. And this is laser etched and includes a little bit of text, but it also includes this, which is a handwritten piece, a graphic that I did with a Sharpie on a piece of paper. And I want to tell you how I got it onto this object because it looks so nice and it came out so well. And it's a really useful app in general. So this is from this piece of paper where I Sharpied out a bunch of different versions until I was happy with this final one. As you can see, it's exactly the same. And I didn't even have to move anything around on the final design to get it looking perfect. It fit really nicely into this star. And more notes on that later, actually, because it's a wearable. But I used Adobe Capture, which is a fantastic app. It's free, and you don't need an Adobe account at all. So you fire it up, and it takes you to this view. And if I point it at this design, then I get this black and white representation of it. I can click the button to freeze it there, and it looks a little blurry on the screen, but it's pretty sharp. From here, I can, if I want, erase little bits of what's on the screen. I can also crop that out just to get this. And this came out really well, so I can either leave it as is or I can smooth it like so. And it looks gorgeous already. So I'll hit save. And from here, I have a number of options. I can take another shape, or I can click the little 3 dots on this guy and say, save to camera roll, and that's easy. I get a PNG, or I can grab it and say export as, and you can do it as an image, an SVG, or a PDF, and that is fantastic. The Glowforge that we have will take a PDF. It'll also take a straight PNG, and other things such as Inkscape will use SVGs for paths and whatnot. It's really fantastic being able to just export an SVG like that, so that's really useful for online-friendly graphics and stuff like that. I haven't just used this for laser cutting. That's also how I created these 3D printed feathers for my 3D printing on fabric tutorial. And these are just printed through the fabric. You lay down a couple of layers of your design, and then you pause the printer, put the fabric in place on top of it. I use double-sided tape to secure it in place, and then print the rest of the way, and it becomes this part of the garment, which is really fantastic. So I did a video on that a couple of months ago, the 3D printing on fabric tutorial, and I did that with a bunch of these different feather designs that I had, again, Sharpied onto a piece of paper. It's so easy for that, and was able to export these as 3D files that I could then 3D print onto fabric. I've also used this to make PCBs with the Bantam desktop PCB mill. So once again, if you scroll down, you'll see that I drew this shape, and then I scanned it with Adobe Capture, took the SVG, imported it into the Bantam milling software, and just milled it out. Since this was a piece of double-sided PCB material, so it's copper clad on both sides, I had used one side as a ground plane, the other side for power, and it was very simple to hook up this basic circuit. And I made this wearable device. If you're curious about that, it looks really weird, by the way. I understand, and it does actually do something functional, which is pretty cool. I've also used this to create 3D printed metal jewelry. You can send it into shapeways.com, which will do custom 3D printing for you in a number of different materials, including silver. You can get brass, bronze, you can get gold, you can get these things polished, you can have them still be raw finished for making your own jewelry with this stuff, and all you gotta do is do a little Sharpie image or a pen drawing and scan it with Adobe Capture and you get this. Isn't it gorgeous? And then finally, I've also used this recently in my embroidery machine. This is relevant a little bit because actually Angela Sheehan has been doing some embroidery with integrated electronics, which is something that I've wanted to try out for a long time, have not gotten to it yet. She has done it. It's super cool. You should check it out. But also you can do regular embroidery from the same method. This is just a Sharpie drawing of this logo that I imported into the Embrilliance embroidery software. and then was able to digitize it into an embroidery stitch pattern and put it onto this reflective material to make these patches. It's an incredible, incredible tool that you can use in so many different ways. It's called Adobe Capture, and that is my plug for you today. Hack on.